Hi and welcome to my full moon video. This full moon is in Cancer and it is a wild one. You could say it is, like the darkest hour before the dawn. With Pluto, the Sun and Mercury together, and I feel like it will be a lot about relationships. I mean, Venus is still retrograde, Mercury is retrograde, so it is a lot about reflection, and Venus retrograde is a lot about what are my true values, what do I feel attracted to, whom do I feel attracted to. But because there is this Pluto, Sun, opposing the Moon, I would say there is again a lot of shadow work, like it had been during the beginning of the Venus retrograde, and Venus will have a final return when she goes direct again. She will cross Pluto for a final turn. So I think we are in this process of reflecting what has value to me, what is important to me, and what is with my most important relationships. And because there is so much emphasis on Pluto, and because the Moon is in a quincunx to Mars, I would say it might be a very explosive time during this full moon, and my cards say the same. I have pulled some cards. The cards I have pulled are Sorrow, Alungnasat, Perchta, and the additional card is Prayer. The cards talk about the process of something that will hurt us, or something where we will be reminded of a pain from the past. It might not be something that is hurting us right now, but it might be a pain from the past, or of structures from the past, or relationships from the past. With Mercury retrograde, that might also be someone returning from the past, where we are reminded of something that hurt us, or we carried something with us from old relationships without realizing that we still carried that pain, that we still carried that bitterness, or even that rage and that disappointment that still haunt us, that still influences our relationships right now. And this has to be transformed. And with Perchta, Perchta is the goddess in the Alps that during the time between the winter solstice and January the 6th travels across the winter sky and takes everything with her that is not alive anymore. Maybe that means that a certain relationship has to die, that it is done, that it is over with, and that it is only a structure that is still alive, a memory that is still alive, but not the relationship itself. Sometimes it also means certain parts of this relationship have to change. Maybe it is a time now to forgive. And with prayer, I would say the advice is to connect to higher realms and to pray for solution, to pray for guidance. And with this full moon comes also a big quintile between Jupiter and the Moon, which is very beautiful and which is very supportive. And this big quintile says, don't be so fixated on the pain. Look where you are abundant in your life. Look where you have other relationships in your life that nourish you, or other things that you do that nourish you. Don't be so fixated on just this certain relationship that hurts you, or where you feel challenged and disappointed. And this Jupiter Moon big quintile gives you an opportunity to feel nourished. I mean, Pluto themes often have to do with power struggle, with feeling powerless. And when I'm feeling powerless, it is more likely that I hurt others more easily, that I defend myself a lot more. With Pluto themes, we often feel more powerless. And when we feel powerless, we tend to be very defensive, and we tend to be aggressive because we feel challenged, we feel powerless. And this Jupiter Moon, this abundance, when we feel nourished, when we feel abundant, when we don't feel alone, whether it is through the connection with the divine or with other forces, or whether it is the relationship with others, or even both, where we step out of this fixation to pain, and then we are able to make wiser choices. It won't be easy. I mean, the quincunx between Mars and the Moon says it is not easy to recognize how triggered we are and to step back. And I would say one of the most important advices of this full moon is don't react too fast. Moon-Mars aspects are very often very fast triggered reactions, and when it is in a quincunx, it says we don't even realize how triggered we are. So it is advised to step back, and there is a German saying that says, I don't see the woods anymore because I only see trees. And that means we have to step back. We have to step back to see the bigger picture. If we just see like a green something, we cannot see the whole anymore. Or if I just fixated on one part, I might not see the whole picture. And with Mercury retrograde, it is very likely that there are misunderstandings, or that there are messages that confuse us, or that someone from the past returns that triggers us, or relationships from the past trigger us, or we are reminded of certain outcomes of the past. So I would say the intensity or the darkness of this full moon that comes with it has a lot to do with past memories and issues that are not totally looked at. And what I already talked about with the nodes going into Scorpio and Taurus during the Venus retrograde. Venus retrograde has to do with the Inanna Ereshkigal theme, and Ereshkigal is connected to the underworld like Pluto is. And when we have transits with Pluto, we are forced to see things that were invisible before, and that those things that were invisible before sometimes are connected to the past, maybe even from other lifetimes, and something where we feel powerless. And sometimes we feel powerless because we are too fixated. And what was also in my cards with Perchta, to be fixated is not the solution. It is a time to let go. And all those dark goddesses like Hecate, like Perchta, like Kali, in the end, those dark goddesses that cut away the darkness or cut away what is dead are there to serve life, are those that prepare the spring, prepare the new life. So it is needed. There is a certain relationship very likely in our life where a transformation is needed, where there is time that something needs to go, something needs to end, something needs to be transformed. It might be that it is the relationship that we have with ourselves, the most intimate relationship that we have. And I would say this is always included, because the way we relate to ourselves, we relate to others. Venus is in a trine to Uranus. This is a reminder when we allow ourselves to be free. We can see the bigger picture, and out of seeing the bigger picture, we can react in a new and different way. And this freedom also comes through forgiving ourselves and others, because the moment we forgive ourselves and others, we step out of this "you hurt me, I hurt you" guilt and shaming and blaming. So I would say the advice from the cards and the astrology is step into the freedom before you react. Get support from your soul, and get support from other people where you feel nourished. Or creativity. Quintiles are Venusian aspects They have to do with 5. 5 is the number of Venus. It is the number of change. The feminine wants change. It is the feminine aspect that pushes into change, that pushes into transformation, because transformation in the end is life. And there are areas, most likely in our field of relationships, where we need change. I mean, the asteroid Metis is together with Mars in this quincunx to the moon in Sagittarius. Metis is wisdom, and Metis is a message that comes from a higher understanding. The saying of Cinderella that says, the good ones go into the pot, the bad ones go into your crop. We can only do that if we have the distance to see, the distance to reflect, to know what is worthy, and that right now is not the moment for the final decision. When Mercury is direct again, when Venus is direct again, when Venus transited finally over Pluto, then we are maybe at the point where it is right to make a decision. Right now it is more a moment of being aware, and with the asteroid Metis to accept that there is a message from our soul that wants us to realize something, and maybe it has to do with letting go of old structures from the past. Pluto in Capricorn, old structures from the past, whether it is in our close relationships, whether it is the way we relate to others or ourselves, but it is a time to let something die. And this time will be intense. It is not a funny time. It is a dark time before the dawn. But I think it is very important to remember that this dark time before the dawn is part of the magic of the dawn, that this is not separated from each other, that this is just dark and just horrible and just hurts. This time is the condition that is needed for the dawn. The dark goddesses are part of the new life. The dark goddess of death prepares the spring, prepares new life. And in this case, it is the Venus in the underworld that is getting ready to step up again into a new blossoming life in our relationships and the way we relate to ourselves and in our values. And she wants us to let go, and she wants us to have a more abundant love life with ourselves and with others. And the advice is, step back, get support from others through prayer where you feel nourished, or things that you do where you feel nourished, through creativity, through sports, everything that nourishes you and that helps you to feel sovereign. Because the moment you feel sovereign, you are not so inclined to be in power struggles or to be too explosive with others. You are more sovereign in your heart. And as I said, remember that this dark time right now is the time before a dawning in your life. So I wish you a very magical and very blessed new beginning, and the courage to let go what no longer serves you. All the best till next time. Namaste.